Needless Things Podcast. Hey, Phantomaniacs! Welcome to the newest episode of the Needless Things Podcast, where we talk about toys, movies, music, and all manner of pop culture dorkery. I am your host, Dave, and now sit down, shut up, and listen to Neon Warlords! I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be harsh with you before, but I was very excited, and it was very important to me that all of you here, Neon Warlords, you will be able... That was just a taste. That was just a little tiny bit of Beyond Cyberspace. You will hear more 2 weeks from now on episode 370 of the Needless Things Podcast. But I wanted to give it to you now. I want to give you a little teaser, a little taste of what we're going to be dealing with, what we're going to be talking to on a special episode. But tonight, we have an entirely different kind of special episode where we are going to be partnering, doing a split, if you will, with the Clown is Down podcast. If you have not already added them to your feed, please go and do so. You can find them on Spotify and everywhere else. We're talking about Forgotten Toys of Yesteryear, where we take a look at toy lines that maybe didn't make it quite so big or don't get as much attention as the big boys like Star Wars, Transformers, and whatever else. But before we get to that, we've got a little bit of news. Not a ton of news this week, but something I wanted to revisit, and then a couple of new items. One, I mentioned last week that McFarlane is doing a series of Batman 66 figures, but in a 6-inch scale, unlike their bizarre 5-inch. I drive myself crazy with that. It's not 6-inch scale. They're 6-inch figures, and they may be 12th scale, they may be 10th scale, they may be 11th scale, who knows, but 6 inches is not a scale, and we'll get more into that later in the episode. But they're 6-inch figures. They're basically sort of simplified version. They don't have ankle joints. The hip joints are just pivots. They don't have any kind of like ball joint at the hips or anything. More simplistic knees and elbows, which is fine. None of that bothers me. And according to what McFarlane Toys said, you will be able to buy this whole initial offering for around $100, and that includes the Batmobile, the Batcave playset, Batman, Robin, and Joker. Which, that's pretty solid considering the playset. But here's the thing, is I looked at the pictures, and the Batcave, and really even the Batmobile is scaled down. It's too small for 6-inch figures. That's just a fact. When you put them in it, they like sit up all high. It looks weird. And the Batcave, everything looks a little small. It almost looks like it's for 3.75-inch or 4-inch figures, like the ones that Funko did a few years ago, which, by the way, were great. Or Mezco is doing their 5-points line, which actually I don't even know if that's still coming out or not. But for quote-unquote budget figures, which these are, because 6-inch figures for $15, I mean, that basically is, they look really neat. I'm curious to see them in person. I don't think that I'll probably, like, as much as I want a Batcave playset, it just doesn't look like it's scaled right for these figures. Everything looks a little off to me, and I hate to say that because I was genuinely excited about these and about the fact that they're a budget line. They're part of the DC Retro line. So, if they do a 1989 Batmobile and a Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, which seems impossible unless you're a Japanese toy company, I'll be all over that. But I've got the Batman 66 figures from Figures Toy Company, and nobody's going to do better than that. And no, they don't have a nice, like, they've got a sort of old school Batcave to go with that, and an old school Mego style Batmobile that don't measure up to the quality of those figures. But those are the best Batman 66 figures you can get, period. They just are. And I can't see me getting these. But I am going to keep an eye on them. I'm curious to see what they look like in person. NECA showed their Wolfman figure, and man, it blew me away. We knew they were doing it because they had teased it before, but this is truly an ultimate Wolfman Universal Monsters figure, because not only is it the classic Wolfman figure, but it also comes with the forearms and the feet and the head of Lon Chaney that plug into the figure, so you can have the Wolfman figure and the Morning After figure, which is awesome. It looks so good. The Chaney likeness is just fantastic. This is a must-have. It's 100%. And not only is it a must-have, I might need two just to display the Wolfman and Lon Chaney Jr. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be tough because these are starting to get pricey. Prices on all figure lines are going up to the point where I'm thinking Marvel Legends, I'm pretty close to done as far as buying them new for retail price. I don't know. We'll see. You know how I am. Very weak-willed. NECA also announced a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1990 movie, a Shadow Warriors set that includes Hamato Yoshi, Oroku Saki, with tons of removable parts and extras and everything. Splinter in his original rat form in the cage, which they had teased this before, but we didn't know exactly what form this set was going to take. It looks fantastic. It's Walmart exclusive, which of course gets me and everybody else angry and fired up. But you got to remember, NECA has been doing a fantastic job of making good on these movie turtles, whether it's through pre-orders through their website or reissuing them or whatever the case may be. If you're on top of it and paying attention, the only one at this point that you'd have an excuse for not owning is the Spirit of Splinter from the Loot Crate set. Everything else has been what I would consider readily available for a collector-oriented line. So if you have missed anything, that's on you. While yes, this is going to be at Walmart and it may or may not be really difficult to get from them, I have every faith that at some point NECA will make it more readily available. If it's not, these foot soldier sets at Walmart, I've seen them 4 or 6 deep. The Splinter and Shredder set, again, 4 and 6 deep. Now, the Turtles that they re-released, never saw those. But there have been multiple opportunities to buy those Turtles. I just feel like like I said, if you're on top of it, or if you join the Needless Things Podcast Facebook group, or follow Needless Things Podcast on Instagram, because I give you guys the heads up on this stuff. So if you're missing out on it, you have only yourself to blame. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to mention, the Skelegod from the Masterverse, Masters of the Universe Revelation. Sorry, I had to focus. I had very, very tired, you guys. And what I wanted to put this off until tomorrow night, but I knew if I put it off till tomorrow night, I wouldn't be as effective as I am tonight, which is, boy, saying not much. But the Masterverse line is showing up in stores. Target, not only did the Skelegod figure show up in stores, but was pretty much readily available through their website, either to get shipped or to go pick up at a store, which I did both because I didn't cancel my shipped order in time. But that's okay because I can return it, no problem. Or if one of you guys needs it, let me know, because I'll be very lazy about returning it. It's probably going to sit around the Phantom Zone for a couple of weeks before I remember, I need to take this back to Target. So that's out there now. And so Skelegod and Battlecat are showing up at Target. Supposedly, this first wave was going to show up at Walmart first, and then later on at other retailers, which initially when they started doing this, because NECA was doing this as well, this sounded like a good thing to me, but it's been so annoying because it's hard to find at Walmart, and then it seems like it's almost like 90 days or more before it shows up at other retailers. It's better than Walmart exclusive, but it's still frustrating. But anyway, that stuff is out there. Keep your eyes open. Pay attention. And like I said, join the Needless Things Podcast Facebook group. Follow Needless Things Podcast on Instagram. And I tip you guys off as soon as I can about this stuff. All right, so now in some site news, please check out the Needless Things YouTube channel. I do typically 2 toy reviews a week on Monday and on Wednesday. This week on Monday, I reviewed a new 2-pack from the MCU Black Widow Marvel Legends. It's Red Guardian and Melina Vostokov, I think. I hadn't planned on saying her name, so that may be wrong. I don't normally review Marvel Legends, but something about this 2-pack really appealed to me. I think partially I'm excited that it's about time to get back to the movie theater to see Black Widow. Partially, the figures just looked really cool. And there's something kind of different. The Red Guardian figure is a massive improvement over the last Red Guardian that came out last year. I think possibly before this time last year. The David Harbour likeness is phenomenal. But go check that out. And then Wednesday, I reviewed the aforementioned Skelegod. I literally went and picked it up from the store Tuesday, brought it straight home, and did a review immediately. I was so excited about this thing. He is currently undergoing the stand-up test because any figures where I'm a little suspicious of the integrity of their joints, they have to stand in a certain spot for about a week before I'll put them on the shelf. Now, granted, I don't know what shelf this guy's going on. I'm not planning on buying a ton of the Revelation figures, but again, you know how I am. But he can't go with Classics. He can't go with Origins. He can't go with 2002. I don't know where he's going to go. He might go with my Mondo Scareglow. Matter of fact, that's probably the most likely spot for him. But I've got those Mythic Legions versions of Panther and Trapjaw that may need to go away because I'm not buying any more of those. And as cool as those are, I really just don't need them. I don't know if they'll get bagged up and put in a tote. I don't know if maybe I'll flip them. I'm not sure what I'll do. It'll depend on what the prices are, probably. But if I do plan to move them, it is not going to be on eBay. It's probably going to be on Mercari. Because even though you don't get the whole bidding thing going on there, eBay has just turned into an absolute shit show. So there you go. Please check out the Needless Things YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, share. Smash that like button if you like Needless Things. And then finally, I've got to clear something up. I told you that I am talking tonight to the gentleman from the Clown is Down podcast. Go follow it now. Like, subscribe, share. And we have a great conversation about just toys that people don't talk about all the time. And their first episode was basically just running Masters of the Universe into the ground. And it's funny. They make it very clear. This is just our opinion. This is, whatever. So if you have the ability to sort of laugh at yourself and appreciate things in a tongue-in-cheek way, it's a really fun episode listening to two guys who aren't into He-Man. Imagine that. And in talking to them about Masters, we jump around topics a lot. We had a really fun, great conversation. It's kinetic. You're going to enjoy it. These guys, Pete and Keith, have a great rapport with each other and with me on the show. But we talk briefly about that, and I want to clarify something that I said. I said, I don't even like Masters of the Universe that much. Now, that sounds insane out of context, but the context I'm expressing it in is that I don't like, I've said this before, I'm not a fan of the Filmation cartoon. I love the 2002 cartoon. I'm very excited about the possibilities of Kevin Smith's Revelation. I'm a fan of the mini comics. A lot of the comic books that I've read I've enjoyed. But, and I like the mythology. I like what Scott Knightlick did in uniting all of the disparate sources for stories in his bio cards on the classics line. I like that. But the Filmation cartoon I'm not a big fan of. And when I was a kid, I didn't have a lot of Masters figures because I didn't really like them that much. In retrospect, they have a certain nostalgic appeal, but I wasn't really a fan until 2002 came along. Like a real fan. Of course, when I was a kid, I watched the Filmation cartoon every single day it was on, and I enjoyed He-Man, but I didn't really care to own any of the toys. They just didn't. The figures didn't do much for me, and that's one of the points that they make on the first episode of The Clown is Down. Is how sort of primitive those figures were compared to other things that were out at the time. So I was saying that the Dave is down with them having that opinion, even if I don't 100% share it. So I felt the need to clarify that because in the context of our conversation, my claim sounds a little outrageous, which you'll hear and you'll understand why I felt the need to go back and kind of backpedal on that just a little bit, just to pull back on that sentiment. But I stand by the spirit of it. So anyway, that's enough of my intro for the day. Please now grab some cotton candy, which you'll also find out the meaning behind the Clown is Down being the title of this podcast, which I didn't know until they explained it to me. So just enjoy yourself and listen to three dudes breaking new ground in the world of podcasting. Joining me tonight for a very exciting episode of the Needless Things podcast are Keith and Pete from the Clown is Down podcast.
Hey.
Hello.
What's going on? This is Pete.
And this is Keith.
Yeah, we're from the Clown is Down.
And now we're on
the Needless Things podcast. I was hoping you guys would do that little Tomax and Zaymot riff that you did at the beginning of your show. So for the listeners who may not have heard The Clown is Down yet, go subscribe right now. I listen to all my podcasts on Spotify. It's on Spotify. And Keith and Pete, I've known you guys for at least a couple of decades, more probably. Yeah. And I was delighted to see that you were doing a show, but I was very curious about what it was going to be because I could think of such a broad range of different, whether it was lifestyle stuff or specific to nerdy stuff or music or whatever. I just didn't know. And The Clown is Down just doesn't tell you a whole heck of a lot. How did you guys decide? Because I'll tell you right now, when I fell in love with the show, I was listening to the Battery episode, which was your mid-month mental breakdown. And when I realized that rather than Google what to do with the battery disposal, you guys decided to record a podcast about it. I was like, these guys we're on the same page. I need to have them on the show. We got to make this happen.
Well, as Abraham Lincoln once said, you can't trust everything on the internet. So Googling just wouldn't have done any good. So we felt that we had to start a podcast. It was a necessity.
You can't trust everything on the internet, but you can trust Keith and Pete.
That's right. Because when we say the clown is down, the clown is down. It's nothing more can be said at that point. And it's a reference. It's from The Simpsons. Kids today don't know about the old Simpsons. The judge lost his gavel at some point, and all he had on his desk was a clown. And he banged the clown on the desk and said, "The clown is down." And it became a running joke with our group of friends that when the clown was down, that was it. That enough said. That was it.
It was the episode with Lisa.
The one with Lisa.
Yeah, it was like
those are always so good.
Yeah, but it was Judge Judy was the judge that was taking over for the judge, and when he was on vacation, when he came back, she was wasn't Lisa? Yeah, it was Lisa. When she was coming back, when the judge came back, he put the clown down, and then she was about to make her ruling, and he was like, "I'm sorry, but my clown is down."
Clown is down. You may say no more.
And now I know. And knowing is half the battle.
Yes, and the other half is violence.
That was another spot where you guys won me over. Was the doing is the other half.
Doing is half the.
All right.
Yeah, that's.
So what led to this though? What led to you guys actually? Because look, everybody has a podcast. Low hanging fruit, whatever.
But we're two middle-aged white guys with beards.
Right.
Everyone wants to know what we have to say.
Well, you're breaking new ground.
Yes.
But work goes into that. You have to schedule. You have to learn how to use all of this electrical shit that you have to use to make a podcast and get it out to the people. Like yes, everybody has one, but it is a commitment. It's something that you have to decide. We're going to sit down. We're going to make the time to do this. We're going to learn all of the different things involved in doing this. So like, how did you guys get to the point where it was going to happen?
Well, for me, Pete and I were just been talking and things like that, and we were just throwing around the idea of saying, "Why don't we just do a podcast?" And for me, well, what made me want to end up doing it was, the lady that married me, she's really into the podcasting, and she's on several. She's created several, and
she's our guru. And
yes,
exactly. in our podcasting journey, she is our guru.
She has been.
It would not have happened without Keith's wife. This would not be for us without Keith's wife.
Yeah. So I mean, and when we were throwing around the idea, it was like she was the perfect go-to person, and we just started talking. It's like, of course we could do this, and then we just decided, and then we was just coming up with ideas of like what to call it, what it's going to be about, and as you can see, like we came up with the idea of having a we call it long and short.
We have our long versions where our clown is down on a certain thing, whether it's action figures or movies or soundtracks or whatever. And then we decided to do the little snippets in between because, people want to hear what we have to say. So we do a shorter version every few weeks called the Mid-Month Mental Breakdown, where we just rant. We'll just get on and rant about something. Something will bother us. We'll get a rock in our shoe, or, somebody won't know how to park. And we'll just get on and rant about that.
And both, I've enjoyed both formats quite a bit. As much as I disagree with literally almost everything that you say, I do enjoy the conversation.
So you enjoyed the He-Man episode?
Well, but here that's the thing, is that whole episode, rather than releasing the 33 minutes of jibber jabber, you could have just said, we don't really care enough about this to learn about it. And then that would have been the same thing.
That's
I'm
crazy
just fucking
talk.
with you.
That's crazy talk.
It was very entertaining. And Keith, you obviously did dive a little bit into Masters of the Universe. And this is something I've always said on our show, and on Needless Things, wherever. Everything isn't for everybody. And if it was, life would be boring.
Yes.
I don't want everybody to like He-Man. I don't even really like He-Man that much. The Masters of the Universe cartoon is terrible. I love it, but it's terrible. It's different things for different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, wait till you hear our Boba Fett episode.
Oh,
which was recorded before season 2 of The Mandalorian, so now it has to be totally redone.
Well, and that's another thing I wanted to ask you guys about, because it did seem to me you guys have clearly stockpiled episodes and have like a library, or I guess a library of episodes ready to go. They're not necessarily you're not recording these Monday and releasing them Wednesday.
No, we try to have a little bit of a buffer, a little bit, because Keith has a schedule, I have a schedule, we both have kids, we both have lives, so it's kind of good to have a little bit of a buffer, and they're timeless tales, we spin here.
It's evergreen content.
Exactly.
And there was one of the episodes where you said something about like if I'm gonna start working out coming up in the spring, and I was like, coming up in the spring, it's June.
I'm getting to it.
You're talking about next spring.
Next spring. I'm eyeballing that lawn, thinking
2022. That's your year, buddy.
Cut all this fat.
Yes.
we all do. That's
you got to keep in mind. Sometimes you got to think about what's been released. When we're talking and recording, has that one come out yet? Or I don't know.
Cast your mind back to September of 2020.
I mean, have they heard about the belugas yet? I don't know.
It's coming. I got all sorts of opinions on beluga whales.
Well, and that's another thing. I love your
lazy mammal.
In your intro, you mention a few topics, just random topics. We might talk about these things, but they're clearly very specific, and you haven't gotten to them yet. So it's created sort of an anticipation of when are they going to get to the beluga whales?
It's coming. We actually discussed it a few days ago. We're forming that. It's forming. We're getting there. And we, like I said, we're two white guys with beards hosting a podcast. We didn't want to just be pop culture all the time and just be, let's talk about this movie that everyone has seen and beaten to death. Right. We want to talk about people who can't cross the street or people who don't park correctly,
because that's never going away.
It's never. No. Yeah. COVID or not, parking is here to stay.
Yes.
And I think backing in is just the way to park. It's the best way to park, and others have a different opinion.
And it drives me nuts when I'm in a parking lot and I either pull through or I back in. When I see somebody with 2 spots and they pull in and don't pull through, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? It's right there.
We didn't even discuss that. The double park. That's usually reserved for no man's land of the parking lot past the second cart corral.
Yes.
Because that's the apocalypse.
Well, but I just and that's one of the interesting things about Clown is Down and listening to you guys with the mid-month mental breakdown.
Mouthful.
It's great though. I love it. We're all so different. We all have such different expectations of things and how we think things should be, and yet there is still this mass group of people out there who are all wrong about everything that they do, from parking to crossing the street to battery disposal to whatever. And I so look forward to hearing you guys kind of just break down just how bad the masses are, really.
The people in the Boba Fett shirts, and they're just the worst.
I've got like 4 of them.
I probably have. Look, Mandalorian season 2 came out, and it shook me as a Star Wars fan, because I have opinions about things, and I have very ingrained opinions in things. I've been a Star Wars fan for a long time, and
sometimes Jon Favreau gets a hold of your thing.
He did.
He gives you a whole new appreciation for it.
He showed me he was money. He was the bear with the claws, and I was the little bunny, and he, I'm not 100% there, and he
No,
gave,
and no reason you should be, because
he gave me Bill Burr out of it, and I got Space Boston. I know that planet exists, and it's got oceans. It's got oceans of Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and I want to move there. It's got the worst traffic in the galaxy, but man, I want to move there. And Bill Burr, that character has become like one of my favorite characters in Star Wars now. It's great. So I will sacrifice. We can have Boba Fett back because I got that character.
That's fair. That's fair. So you guys got your beverages. I am currently drinking Elijah Craig bourbon out of a glass toucan. Because I drink bourbon with a straw, because when you're recording, it makes the ice not clink around.
That's pretty smart.
What do you got,
that's
Keith?
why I got taking the lead.
I am rocking the Miller High Life.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Champagne.
Pete,
beers.
I have a little bit of Dr. Pepper because I needed a little bit of caffeine, but I got one in the chamber. So
there you go.
I got a little Yingling over there.
I'm always interested to see like who's still drinking and who's not, because at our age, a lot of people get to the point where they're like, I don't drink anymore, or I stopped, or whatever the case may be, because we're all
Old.
Like, we're at the point now where we're aware of how difficult life can really be.
Mm-hmm.
We've been through some shit, and some people fall by the wayside, and some people just keep drinking.
Yeah. Two beers in a day for me is I'm gonna be useless the next day, to be perfectly honest. I'm gonna be wrecked.
There's too much to do.
And it's like my children have no concept of time and how things work. They don't care that it's Saturday because they're gonna get up and they're gonna go 100 miles an hour like from the start.
Well, and it's summer now, so there's even less concept of time.
Yeah. More sun.
My son had a dentist appointment at 9:00 this morning, and he's pretty good about being aware of things and being ready for stuff, being good to go. However, he kind of lost track of that last night and stayed up till like 6 a.m. Playing video games with his friends online, which I don't care. From time to time, that's fine. That doesn't bother me. I did the same kind of stuff when I was his age. Like, he's 13. He hasn't been social in over a year now. Like, that's their hangout time. It's fine. I don't care. But yeah, he got up this morning and was like, I forgot about the dentist. It was just a ball of worthlessness.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, during the summer, there's no schedule. There's no format. So they're just going crazy. Unless you put them in camp or something.
Yeah, that's what we have going on with my child. She has camp Monday through Friday. So that kind of works out for us when we get up in the morning to have a still a routine. But the first couple of weeks of summer, there was no camp. We didn't have anything, and
it was just chaos.
Yeah, it was like, and we also have a new puppy too. So we have a 5-month-old puppy, and
oh wow,
like, and I've been designated the playmate for this puppy that totally minds the wife. But for me, I'm just a chew stick. And I can't lay down. I can't walk through the house without this thing like just nipping at me. I'll get on the couch. I'll lay down for a minute. It's just rock. And
the little puppy teeth are so razor sharp.
Lord, they hook onto everything. They hook on. No matter my sock, you'll just grab my sock, and there I am. I'm just being the chew toy, and I'm just trying to walk through the house, and then I go from one room to the other to either child or puppy, just constantly at you. You find yourself like going out to just sit outside and stare.
Yeah, we've got the 3 dogs right now, and have contemplated when puppy time will come again. Because if you're dog people, puppy time will eventually come again. It happens.
Yeah.
But we're not. So far, reality has taken hold each time. We've been like, it's not a good time for a puppy.
See, I would like to get a second one to have a playmate.
Now, see, that's probably smart.
Yeah.
If puppy time comes around, just go ahead and get 2 puppies.
Might as well. I mean,
yeah, why not? Hell, get 5. Load it up.
Why stop at 5?
So we've got while we're doing our sort of breaking the ice opening conversation. Speaking of The Clown is Down, which, by the way, for our listeners, available wherever you get your podcasts. I enjoy it on Spotify myself. But go listen to it, leave reviews, do all the things you know you're supposed to do if you enjoy podcasts. But I've got to ask this burning question, and burning is the operative word here. Keith, how's your penis?
It is awesome. Everything's fine now. Like everything's good. That was actually that episode when we recorded that. It had just happened, and we recorded. So I was. Still,
it sounded. I could feel it.
Yeah, and I still have. If I sit and think about it, sometimes I'm like, I'll just shudder because I still I can still feel the pain.
Well, let me tell you this. In January of this year, I got a kidney stone.
Oof.
Fifth or sixth one that I've had.
Oh, wow.
Good God.
Usually they leave on their own because they're not invited.
Yeah.
But you have to wait until they're ready to go. This one didn't. So I had to go to a urologist and schedule a procedure for them to. You guys have seen Total Recall, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know when he sticks the thing up his nose?
So
they were gonna do that to go in because they had to go in after it.
No, it just lives here now. It's
No, it doesn't because it can cause so many problems. So this is the first time I've had to deal with it in that way, and it took. I believe it was April 12th that I went in. I got the kidney stone January 14th, and it was April 12th that I went in for the procedure. And Keith, I had a very similar experience to what you described.
Mm-hmm.
However, I've got some news for you, and I almost hate to tell you this. They knocked me out.
I
went in. Everything was pretty similar. Like the place was oddly alien-like. And the thing that I didn't like is there weren't rooms. You went in and it was this one big giant room with 4 like curtain areas. And they just put you behind a curtain, but there are other people in there while you're naked. Now I don't know. I have no idea where they took me to do the procedure. For all I know, they rolled me out into the street and did it because they knocked me the fuck out.
There's another podcast somewhere or a YouTube.
I'm on the Snellville Penis Cast, episode 14. So yeah, they put me under, but very similarly, I'm there. I'm naked. I've got the little robe on and the little hat and my mask. And the doctor is telling me things at the last minute that he did not share with me previously.
Oh, what? Why did they do that?
Don't hide things from me, especially when they involve my penis.
I'm gonna pay you regardless. Just give me
right. We're Americans. We have no choice. We have to pay your preposterous fees to stick things in our penises.
Some people pay extra for it.
It's true. It's true. You might go to a back alley if that's your thing. We don't judge here. As we said earlier, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
But he's telling me, "Oh, you'll have to come back in a few weeks for us to remove the stent." And I said, "The what's that again?" And he said, "Well, we're going to have to put a stent in, and it's going to have a string that hangs out of your penis until you come back and we remove it." This has got to be a joke. You can't be really telling me this just now.
What?
That's horrible.
Then he says, "Well, if you don't want to come back in, you can remove it yourself, but we don't recommend that."
Did you ask if you could get a better rate? Like if I'm doing the work, off? If I'm doing the work on my own, can I get a better rate?
If I yank this parachute cord myself, will it save me $5?
Oh, so what happened? Like, I mean,
is it still there?
So I didn't go back. I'll never go back. He said, "I want to impress this upon you. If between today and the time that 3 weeks from now, there's a zombie apocalypse, You need to find a doctor and have this stent removed, or remove it.
So
Do
they're
not
preparing-
let it stay in there. So
I
anyway.
think if a zombie apocalypse happened, maybe he shouldn't have gone that way with it. I
appreciated that he did. Here's the other thing that disappointed me a little bit. And this look, in the end, this doctor did a very, very good job with everything. But when I got recommended to the urologist by my real actual doctor who cares for me, he said, okay, I'm going to recommend you to this urologist. And when I called, I said, when can I get in? Thinking like within the next week. And they were like, oh, well, this urologist is a very famous urologist and is backed up until like May. What?
That's a lot of dicks.
So we can get you in here in May. And at the time, this was like February.
Oh,
And I said,
God.
I don't need a world famous urologist. I just need a urologist. And they said, okay, well, we can set you up with one of the other doctors here. They're all very good. They're just not all famous. And I was like, that's fine. I don't need a rock star poking around my wiener.
I'm not gonna follow him on Instagram. It's okay.
So, no, it's is he a penis influencer?
Yeah. Only one of those in my house.
So I'm given the name Dr. Moshe Shapiro. Now I hear Dr. Moshe Shapiro and I'm like, this is going to be
That's a good doctor.
Right?
That's
this
a good
is going to be an
doctor.
old guy. He's been around the penis block a few times. He knows his way around. It's
The
going
cock
to be
block,
fine.
if you will.
He's yes, the old cock
The
block.
old cock block.
I'm going to be in good hands. They might be a little shaky, but they've done this before. Well, I show up for my first appointment, and this child walks into the room. I kid you not. Like
New doctor.
He's a kid. He could not have been 30. He wasn't 30. There's no way. He looked like he was in a hip hop group,
But not famous.
and he's not famous.
Not famous at all.
So he's like, "Hey, I'm Dr. Shapiro. I'm going to be
No,
handling
you're not.
all of this." And I was just like, "Oh gosh, this isn't what I wanted." But anyway, he ended up being great. They knocked me out. And Keith, here's the other thing that I hate to tell you, but I feel like I have to share it. They gave me a prescription to numb my urethra for the few days after the procedure, so that the pissing razor blades, which by the way, it does feel like you're pissing fiery razor blades.
Oh, it's terrible.
It was, and they don't look. I don't blame them for not preparing me, because there's no way you could prepare a man for this. That to say that it's going to hurt when you pee. What do you do? You can't explain this kind of intense, deeply personal pain. But the first time it happens, you're not ready for it.
No. You're like, and then you remember every time, and you're standing over the toilet.
You have to force yourself
to talk yourself
I'll
up.
tell you right now, I sat down because it was unpredictable. Because when you're as tightened up as you can be, because you don't want this to happen, but it has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So all of your penis muscles are not working like they normally do. So this is not in any way normal urination. It's this weird, forced, hesitant trickle of fiery razor blades.
Fiery urine. It's my new band name. Fiery urine.
Fiery.
Calling it.
And once it does start, you cry and you accept it and you just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing was, pretty much as soon as it was done, it was like, it wasn't totally okay, but it was like, okay, it's over. It didn't linger really that badly. But yeah, they gave me a prescription that I don't know that it really did a whole lot. Okay, look, if the prescription did anything for me, then I don't know how you didn't cut your penis off, because it was still horrible for a couple of days.
Yeah, I just went in there and just cussed. I was like, I had to prepare myself, and I was just sitting there. I was like, just bless. And I just drank a bunch of water. They kept saying drink. The doctor told me just chug water. And I just, for the next 12 hours.
Yeah.
Or
That's what
12
they tell you
hours
for
as he
ketones,
thought. He's like, sure, 12 hours.
That's because it's. Oh, go ahead, Pete.
I have a question about this stent. You said there was this hasn't happened yet. So
Please drop your question and I'll fill you in.
You said there was a string hanging out.
I'm curious about the string too.
Could you, if you had wanted to, like hang a charm or something on it?
Okay, so here's the deal. I went in for the procedure and it turns out it passed on its own prior to the procedure.
So you got a free stent and you didn't even need it.
Well, but since it wasn't in there, they didn't have to put the stent in.
Oh.
Because the stent is in there to keep your passage open wide, so any leftover bits and pieces will make their way out. But
I'm getting healthy today.
Well, don't drink sweet tea.
Water.
Nothing but water.
Okay, water, beer, whiskey. There you go.
Well, yeah, that's fine. But yeah, they didn't end up having to put the stent in because I passed it on my own. And the thing that sucks is I kind of thought I had, because I was at work and had an uncomfortable pee, but there wasn't any like clink or anything.
Like to hear that drop, yeah.
And that's the thing. Without being sure, I was like, I still got to go through with it. I can't just say, well, I think it's out. I'll live the rest of my life potentially with this blockage that could kill me. So I had to go in. But yeah, fortunately, it was gone. They didn't have to do the stent. I didn't have to go back and have them pull the string out like a fucking British party favor.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm imagining this string that's hanging out, like, while you're waiting to go back in. It's like a rain chain in the gutter. So every time you go to pee, it's just... It's just like dribbling down.
Well, and could you connect the string to something and have just like a stream?
Yeah, and like put a magnet on it or I would get like a Hello Kitty charm or something.
Well, and it can't be, and I don't ever want to find out. I hope I can't ever answer this question, but it can't be like fishing line because it has to be something that you remember is there, but at the same time, you don't want something that you're aware of just hanging out of your dick all day.
Yeah, is it like dental floss? And that's what I
guess.
String a dental floss.
Gets caught in the zipper.
I'm glad I didn't have to deal with that.
Yes, I'm glad you didn't have to.
Terrible,
terrible, man.
Terrible.
Well, I'm glad everybody's penises are fine now.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's terrible, man.
If listeners, if you weren't aware, we're here to talk about forgotten toys of yesteryear.
Wait, I did all this penis research.
So now that we've gotten comfortable and uncomfortable, what we're going to do is kind of take turns going around and throwing out the names of, everybody knows about G.I. Joe, Transformers, My Little Pony, Masters of the Universe, which, by the way, everybody should go listen to the Clown is Down Masters of the Universe episode. It was your first episode, right?
That was the very
What a way to kick it off, you guys. Yeah, and remember, their opinions. Everybody knows about those toy lines, but there are a lot of toy lines that lasted, maybe a year and just didn't quite get the traction in a very busy marketplace, whether it was the 80s or the 90s or whenever. There are a lot of beloved toy lines that just don't get the recognition. They don't have entire podcasts devoted to them, like Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. And we want to talk about those toy lines today. And I thought you guys, especially after listening to because this is when I contacted you, I hadn't even listened to an episode yet because I listened to like 2 podcasts and that's it. But when I got into it, because I obviously before you come on the show, I'm going to listen to your stuff and I ended up listening to everything and I love it. Now I listen to 3 podcasts and that's legit the truth. That's not just because you guys are here right now. Like you're on the playlist now.
Thanks, man.
Nice.
But especially after listening, I was like, you're the perfect guys to do this episode because you're not like, do either one of you collect anything right now?
I did, but you and I lived together for a while. And I did collect toys for a bit in the mid to late 90s. There was the WCW figures, Star Wars, of course. I got as much as that.
That Toy Biz Scott Hall is still like one of the best Scott Halls ever.
He's feet away from me. I can get him. He's feet away. I'm really Black Series right now and just Imperials.
Okay.
I've learned from my past mistakes where I would just grab everything, and it's different now because when I collected toys, it was the Hunt. I loved the Hunt.
Yeah, and there's no Hunt.
The
anymore.
Hunt is fun.
There's no I'll get it on Amazon. You'll pre-order it on Pulse, and
I hate the pre-order system, man. I hate the, hey, 6 months from now this is coming out, order it now. Like,
but it's the only way you're gonna get it,
Right.
Facebook Marketplace, and there's a couple of Mikaris and other places that I use for the Hunt, and that's
have just discovered Mercari because I've been rebuilding my vintage G.I. Joe collection,
Mhm.
what I had when I was a kid, and I was a dumbass and put it all up in my parents' attic, and it all died because Georgia heat plus ABS plastic do not mix.
And you had the Grail.
I did.
You were that kid. You had the aircraft carrier.
I had the flag. I had it.
I tried to convince my parents. I told them I'd sleep on it, that we could get rid of the bed. I wanted it so bad.
Because I did go up there at one point to try and recover everything. If you could have seen the way that everything was warped and cracked and broken, you would have cried. Because I cried.
Yeah. I've told my wife, and I don't even collect G.I. Joe anymore. I haven't for years, but that was my jam when I was younger in the 80s. We're children of the 80s. If I come across one, I will 100% buy it.
Yeah.
If I have the opportunity and the means, I will absolutely buy it. Even if I just own it for a week to say that I had it, I'll buy it. I don't care. I'll find it.
That's where if I find one in the right condition for the right price, I mean, because I'm rebuilding my 1982 to 1987 collection, what I had when I was a kid. With some extras here and there because I have poor impulse control. But yeah, I'll at some point I will have a flag again, and I don't know where it's going to go, but whatever. So anyway, Pete, your Imperial Black Series.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at right now.
Keith, I know you are a collector, but toys I don't think are necessarily on your.
No, mine's mostly I will. My favorite thing to collect, which is what I've honed down to, is I love 80s and early 90s classic skateboard decks.
Oh, nice.
That is. I will hunt them down. There's been times where I don't do as much anymore because I've gotten a bunch of the ones that I've always wanted as a kid, and that's what I've really gunned for. And but there was a time there where I would just call up skate shops or whatever and just hunt them down the best I could. I just drive around. If they get like a reprint in, or if they even had an original, I would just like go ahead and just buy it.
Now, are you looking for specific condition, or do you have criteria for them?
I really don't, because I know that I know a lot of them might be used, but as long as I can see the graphic,
yeah,
that's just the main thing. Some of them, like I have one that's I have this great Caballero one. It's original from the 80s, and it's still got the rails on it, but it's all scuffed up. And I just left that one as is. Most of them I like to hang up and just hang up my my workshop area. But that one is still in complete form. I just left it as is. Found that at a thrift store.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, but it's funny because they wrote the $32 on it.
Oh, gosh.
So it's written on there in that crayon. I just left it. I was like,
Oh.
But no, that's like what I've come down to on that. That, and I do have a pile of stickers. I don't know what it is. I love having just random stickers,
dude. But when we were kids, stickers were the jam.
Yeah, that's probably why. Yeah, I love
the
it.
The little oily stickers,
puffy stickers, scratch and sniffs. I have a shoebox of old skate stickers somewhere. Might bring those to you someday.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I was like, I couldn't find the perfect place to stick them. They were $2 at the skate shop when we buy them, so you'd get them all the time. Oh, I'm gonna put this. I don't want to waste that sticker there. I don't want to waste it there. And now I'm 45 years old and I have a box of skateboard stickers. So that's me.
Even now, though, the tough thing about getting stickers, like if you get, because so many artists or pop culture artists, whatever, will do stickers, and maybe you get a sticker thrown in with your order, or maybe they do a set of stickers, and it's a problem because like once you've stuck it, it's done.
It's a commitment.
Right.
It's a commitment.
And I don't know where to put us. Like, if it's a sticker that I genuinely like, there's a artist named Scott Blair, which if you're not following Scott Blair art on Instagram, you should be. And he did this really cool set of stickers, and I bought it along with one of his art books. And then when they got here, I was like, I can't stick these on anything because then they're done.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just got a little, like you said, Keith, I've got a little pile of stickers that I'm just oh well,
everything's exclusive now. It's they only do a certain run, and that's it's great for them. Good that
you can't be left valuable. You can't be left with inventory.
Yeah,
you just can't. That's the huge thing now is you got to move everything you make. And condition wise about the skateboards, it's interesting. The reason I asked about that is because in collecting the vintage Joes, it's prohibitive to want them in pristine condition. Mm-hmm. So what I've settled out at is I want it to be in the condition that if I still had the one from when I was a kid, what it would look like. Like it could have some scuffs. It could be a little loose in the shoulders or whatever. Like, yeah, I don't need it to be pristine. I want it to have everything or whatever. But like, as long as it's in the shape, because I took pretty good care of my stuff. So like, that's my level right there that I look for is like what would mine look like 30 years later. Let's not kid ourselves, we're getting close to 40 years later now. So I'm going to kick us off.
Okay,
so everybody has sort of an idea of what we're going to be looking at. Let me get my link here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you guys, I'm going to open up our little chat.
Yeah.
If I can figure out how to, there we go. There's our chat. I'm going to send you guys this link, and then I'm going to tell you just what the heck I'm talking about. So you guys remember Stompers?
Yes.
The little
Stompers.
They took a AA battery. They had big wheels on them. They were like little monster truck cars, basically Hot Wheel size, but with giant wheels. And then later on, they had ones that came with foam wheels and ones that came with the rubber wheels. And I just learned this the other day from looking this up. The foam wheels were for indoors. The rubber wheels were for outdoors. I never knew why they came with the two sets of wheels.
I remember the foam wheel ones. That always get tangled in somebody's hair. Always, every time.
Dude.
So the Stompers were originally a whole independent toy line created by Shaper Toys, but then the concept got ripped off by LJN and a number of other big toy manufacturers. LJN called their version of this Rough Riders, and they were the same thing. They were Hot Wheel sized vehicles. You put a AA battery in them and they had the big wheel or the Bigfoot monster truck style wheels on them. But then there was an offshoot of these called Switch Force, which is the link that I have sent you guys now. So Switch Force were larger vehicles, probably about 6 inches long, and they looked like just regular old cars, vans, whatever. But then you pushed down on, there wasn't a button, it was actually built into the chassis. You pushed down on them, and like a switchblade,
oh wow,
all of these weapons and things popped out of them.
I have no memory of these.
No, it's like Mask.
That's crazy.
And that's what it was. It was cashing in on Transformers and Mask and all of those kinds of things because everybody wanted to get in on the transforming action. Masters of the Universe even licensed the Meteorbs from Bandai that didn't go. They were little eggs that transformed into lions and dinosaurs and robots and stuff. Didn't work with Masters of the Universe at all. But they were so desperate to get that transformation into the line that they licensed a completely separate toy line. And Switch Force is, like you said, it's very much like Mask, except there are no figures involved. But what's interesting and what caught my eye and made me want to talk about it with you guys are the licensed vehicles that they did for the A-Team.
Oh, wow.
If you scroll down,
I see the A-Team and
you can see Faces Corvette. You can see the A-Team van in What's rare for a toy, the correct colors. Because more often than not, the A-Team van as in toy form is just black with a red stripe, which is not correct. The A-Team van is black with a red stripe, and then everything above the red stripe is silver. But it's one of those things when you're a kid, it's like Han Solo's pants when you're a kid. You have no idea what color they are. When the figures come out years later and they're brown, you're like, what? What is this? Or the parka on Hoth. Is it blue or is it brown? When you're a kid, you don't give a shit. So these Switch Force vehicles, I had this yellow one. If you guys are looking at the screen I'm looking at, that is the same mold as Face's Corvette. It's the only one that I had, and I played with that thing like mad. It was with me, my main, I don't know how you guys were when you were kids. I kind of had one toy line at a time. I went from Mego to Star Wars to G.I. Joe to Ninja Turtles. And then there were things on the side. Like I'd get like Triclops, or I'd get this Switch Force car, or I'd get like a Visionaries figure. But
that's actually what we talked about is I think we had the main lines too. Everybody had G.I. Joe, Star Wars to G.I. Joe.
Right.
But everybody had one or two of these random figures.
Yes.
That you don't know how they got there. DC and Marvel, those the Secret Wars and I forgot DC's
Secret Wars and Superpowers.
Yes.
Everybody had some of those.
I had a Joker. I think I had a Penguin. I definitely had a Batman. I don't ever remember buying them or getting them. But they were
everybody had some. Everybody had at least one completely lame Secret Wars figure, like Dr. Octopus, but you lost his arms.
Yeah.
So he's just this green guy with goggles or whatever. But the Switch Force was their little motorized cars, and they just pop open again like a switchblade. And I was curious to see if you guys had any memory of these, but looks like nothing.
I did not.
And I love that.
I remember the trucks, the foam wheel trucks. I absolutely remember those. And they were cool. You know, you put them in and they would just go.
Yeah. They would actually, it was one of the rare instances where like in the 80s, the commercials for toys were incredible because these kids had these elaborate like landscapes and vistas.
The backyards in these kids' houses. To be fair,
who has an Arctic Circle next to a Taiga in their backyard?
Well, not everyone. To be fair, I had 2 giant boulders in my yard.
Those were
nice.
Yeah, and that was many a G.I. Joe battle took place on those giant. They were giant boulders.
That's good stuff.
And it was the coolest thing. We were lucky to have that, but I don't remember these vehicles at all. And I had a lot of cars. My dad was a car guy, so I had cars for lots of different things.
I mean, these were pretty short-lived. They were. Hang on, it took like 4 different websites to figure out when these even came out, because a lot of websites have information about the Stompers and the Rough Riders, which are the smaller ones, but the Switch Force, they're all but forgotten, even by the internet. But they had to be like 84, 85 to be tied in with the A-Team.
A-Team, yeah. Faces, because how often was Faces Vet on the show?
Yeah,
and we see a lot of Faces Vet. Was it that prominent in the show?
Really, I don't feel like it was on the show, but we got a Matchbox car of it. We got an actual toy because LJN did the A-Team figures.
The like 8-inch.
Well, they did the 6-inch ones, and then they also did 3 3/4-inch ones that were using bodies from one of their like G.I. Joe knockoff lines. So like it's BA and Hannibal and Face and Murdoch's heads,
but they had like red and orange and blue and green. Yes, I do remember those.
They're all wearing they all had the exact same
jumpsuit
colors, but just with their heads on them, because they just took those body parts from one of their other military knockoff lines. But they made the van and they made Faces Vet in that scale, that 3.75-inch scale. That's not a scale. That's a size. I'm sorry, 1/18th scale. I'm so bad about that.
I'm out of here. This is clown shoes.
When people say 6-inch scale, that's not a scale. That's a size. 1/12 scale is what you mean, or 1/10 scale. I'm bad about that though. I'll do the same thing. All right. So anyway, that was my first pick for like obscure, forgotten toy of yesteryear, and I kind of love that it doesn't even ring any bells, because it shows to me that the fact that I had to put so much time into even looking it up, it's pretty spot on.
You know what? The 80s was the best. People say the 70s was great for toys and to be a kid in the 70s, and I'm sure it was if you liked riding your banana seat bike and your bell bottoms. But hands down, the 80s was the best time to be a child, because if it got thought of, you got a toy line, you got a cartoon, and a comic book minimum. You got those three things minimum.
Even for lines that lasted like 6 months, you got all of that.
All of it. It was great. It was we lived in the heyday of toys. It was great.
All right, well, let's move on to Keith. Why don't you share your first pick with us?
Well, I mean, mine's a well-known one, but I was sitting there thinking, I was going with the idea that it was just trying to compete with something, and it just kind of got swept under the rug. And I'm sure, I know everybody's heard it, but I was thinking GoBots.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, look, and it's underappreciated. To me, it fits the bill of what we're talking about here.
And GoBots, I mean, honestly, I was talking to you about this, Pete, earlier. I loved them. I love the size of them. I love the fact that I could put them in my pocket and just take them with me anywhere. And it was funny, before we were going to talk about all this, I was just doing some research on it and reading about it. And I am shocked on how many I owned. Like, I was shocked. I was looking at the page. I was like, oh, I had that one. And I had that one. Like, so you had Cykill, Copter, like, or the Tank, Turbo, and Screwhead. All just stood out to me immediately, and I just got transported back.
Screwhead was the black, like, drill vehicle, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
The pointy head.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
it rotated,
what,
right? Like the drill bit actually, I think, rotated.
I can't remember.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't think yeah. Cykill was like the one that if you were to show it to everybody, that's the I think the poster child for.
And that is the best name for a villain ever.
Oh, and Leader One, the jet,
Gray Jet, the
F-15 Eagle.
That at the time, like, any jet was awesome, because we were in, like, Top Gun was right around that era, so we got Leader One, we got the Sky Striker from G.I. Joe, we got all manner of knockoff, like, Tomcats, which they're not all that exact jet, but that style of jet.
Like tail wing, gray.
Yeah, right.
All American.
Huge. Any toy of that was going to sell.
Jetfire.
GoBots were, for years and years and years, I always thought of them as being inferior to Transformers. But in retrospect, they're better toys. They're eminently more collectible, because, like we were talking about with Secret Wars, that everybody had a Secret Wars figure. Anybody could get GoBots.
Yeah.
They're all like Matchbox size vehicles.
Well, Matchbox made them, didn't they?
No,
were they Matchbox?
They were Tonka.
Oh, okay. So
they were a division
built.
of Bandai.
Oh,
well, right, and that's what, like,
Machine Robo
toys got brought over by an American company and adapted. I mean, that's what Transformers were, two different brands mashed together that were originally Japanese toys. But that scale, the fact that the GoBots worked with your existing Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars, I think was pretty cool. Huge advantage.
And the simplicity of it. You know, I guess, like, Transformers hadn't really hit. GoBots was there first, quote unquote, for the big leagues, the rich ways, and finding them in the stores at Christmas time. GoBots was on the scene first, that every mom and pop could find. And the simplicity of them, they weren't intricate. Like, Transformers came out, and we were blown away when Transformers came out. They were big, a lot of moving parts. You were like, I can make this truck do this. That's awesome. Leader 1, you're flipping something around, arms pop out, and there's your legs.
Right. You literally like stand it up and move something, and it's a robot.
Yeah. And it didn't do much, but we were also coming off of Star Wars. G.I. Joe wasn't that big yet. It was still good. We didn't have Kung Fu Grip yet, but it was barely moving, and I thought they were great. I think
you mean swivel arm battle.
Swivel arm battle grip. That's right. Not swivel arm that thing.
And for any of the listeners and for you guys, there is a GoBots comic that got put out by IDW a few years ago that is mind-blowingly good. I cannot remember. It's the same artist and writer. If you search up IDW GoBots, it was probably 2018 or 19, and it's written in the style of an 80s comic, but it's very like smart and meta, and I know the word meta is overused and quite frankly unappealing to me usually, but it's an awesome comic, and it stays true to like the fun of GoBots, but also is just, it'll blow your mind with where it goes.
I like GoBots. GoBots came out, and then like 2 years after they hit big, they came out with 6-inch. They came out with their original line. They blew them up. They made them larger. And that was great.
Yeah, that's right. They were larger.
Like 83
of Psykill and Leader 1 and everybody.
That would be really cool to have now. Now 45.
There are modern releases of the GoBots that are much more articulated. They look exactly the same, but they have better articulation, and the transformations are a little more complex, but they're ridiculously expensive. I can't remember who did them. They look fantastic, but yeah, I had completely forgotten about the larger scale ones.
I like this. I remember a Porsche in the tank. The tank had the turret was his head.
Yeah,
and that was great. It was just a giant gun for a face.
And then there was
nothing screams the 80s.
Yeah.
What was the scooter's name?
Scootor?
Probably. What was his name?
I can't remember. I just know he was.
There was one I saw a picture of. It was kind of like it looked like a Vespa.
Yeah,
something like that. It was red.
Yeah. He actually had a little something to his transforming. I guess
he
was the companion to the kid in the cartoon.
And see, and with that, like I love the little mini transformer, like the little bumblebees.
Yeah,
remember? And you had like you get a red one or a yellow one, and
well, there's Bumblebee and Cliff Jumper, and then there's Bumble Jumper and Cliff B. I don't know, because they used both molds in both colors, so there were 4 figures, but it was 2 molds in red and yellow. But I love those. I love all of those smaller scale Transformers. Brawn, that green Jeep with the yellow underneath, and then the little red and gray tank, like those, all of those little smaller scale ones, again, that were accessible to everybody. You could go to Kroger and they would have those on the pegs.
Good old days.
Yeah.
I mean, the 80s was a terrible time. It's Cold War, and
it was a great time to be a kid.
Great time to be a kid. It was an awesome time to be a kid.
Yes. All right, so let's move on. Pete, what is your first forgotten toy of yesteryear?
Well, again, it's like Keith. It's not so much forgotten, but I definitely believe it's underappreciated, and I firmly believe that its comeuppance is coming. I think this is going to be a big thing sooner rather than later. Mask.
Okay.
The Mask line. I don't think it gets the love. I think everybody knows about it. And then there was that one weird year in the 80s where I got a bunch of Mask stuff for Christmas.
Yeah.
And it was cool.
Same.
Yeah. I think, our parents saw the end caps and they were like, this must be big. And I got a few different things. And, I remember opening it, or the first time I saw the toys and actually held the toys. I think it was Rhino, the big rig.
Oh yeah.
And it was after I think we'd all at least seen the cartoon, because that's how it worked. They baited us in with the cartoons, and then
you got to have the advertisement out.
Yeah. And I remember saying, this is kind of small. And then I saw the figure, and the figure was much smaller. It wasn't my standard. It wasn't my G.I. Joe. It wasn't my Star Wars. It's like, what am I going to do now? I can't play with this. But then I started manipulating the truck, and I was like, I got blown away. And I was like, this opens, this comes off. I've got a giant rocket in it. This ram thing shoots out the front. And I think I got the Condor motorcycle, the green motorcycle. And I don't think I got the Camaro, but I got a few others. And I loved them. I really did. I thought
Hurricane.
Cool. Hurricane was a 57 Chevy.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
Jackhammer was the Bronco. And I thought they were just cool that, you know, I could have this regular car and I could still manipulate this guy and put him in and out. And he came with a helmet. And I like that the helmets didn't work on other figures. I mean, yeah, you could mash them on, but I really like that the helmet went with the figure and
everything was very unique.
Yeah, it kind of meant something. Like this helmet wouldn't fit on this guy completely. Switchblade, that's the one I got out of it. The plane that turned into a jet. All these other cool things. His plane turns into a damn jet. I would be
his plane turns into a helicopter.
Oh yeah, a helicopter. I would be so pissed if I was. I'd be like, you got a motorcycle that can fly, and you got something that goes underwater, and I have something that flies that continues to fly.
It makes no sense.
Why not just get a Harrier? If you're spending this much money on tech, get something that already exists.
Why not get the Rattler?
Yeah, get a helicopter or something. It was, but it was cool because he had his. I remember the I can't even remember the villain's name.
Max
Knife.
No, Miles Mayhem.
Miles Mayhem.
Yes.
Oh man, see,
yes.
the '80s were so good. It would make a great movie if they did it now. It would make an awesome movie. And
there have been a lot of attempts to incorporate it into G.I. Joe. They actually released a Matt Tracker figure.
Really?
In the G.I. Joe line. That is his exact, it's got the mask, it's his exact uniform, and he comes with like a backpack that transforms into a helicopter. That's as close as they get.
Yeah.
And then there's a box set that they did of all of these Hasbro brands, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Micronauts, Action Man, Visionaries, all like in the G.I. Joe 25th anniversary style. And they keep trying, and it's like, it's almost like somebody's like, man, this is a really great idea. And then they fight, and the people above them just won't let them get anywhere with it. So we get like one thing, and then it goes, and just nothing happens with it.
If we can get 9 Fast and Furious movies,
right?
Can we just not get what? And I think it could be done well. I mean,
yes,
we're getting this new Snake Eyes movie, and they're anyway.
I'm excited for it.
I'm gonna see it. It looks fun. But I don't want my Snake Eyes to talk.
We're never going to get but here's the thing. It's Snake Eyes Origins. It's pre non-talking Snake Eyes.
So there's still going to be no timber.
Didn't look like Vietnam.
There's no timber.
No,
there's no timber. Not in this one.
Yeah, Scarlet.
We're never going to get the G.I. Joe movie we want. And whether anybody wants to admit it or not, the 2009 G.I. Joe movie is the closest to what we want. We just can't accept it.
I'll accept it. I like a lot
because it's an episode of the cartoon.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like it, but it is.
I just give him the wolf, and maybe we'll get that at the end of the movie. Maybe he'll be walking off into the sunset after Cobra's in shambles, and this wolf will walk up to him. I'm hoping we'll get a nod or something like that.
The problem with every franchise that we love that is being underserved is that it doesn't have a Kevin Feige.
Yeah, that's absolutely
literally
true.
Everything, or excuse me, a Kevin Feige or a Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni.
Yeah, I was about to say Filoni.
Filoni and Favreau, like those are.
Yeah,
let them do everything.
What is it about guys with F? Favreau, Feige, Filoni?
Because they're fucking rad.
What's the magic of the F? The F word.
Go ahead.
Also, go back to Mask real quick. I just want to. I'm sure we could all, because it's been ingrained in our heads, just say what MASS stands for.
Like Mobile Armored Strike Command with a K.
Now, what about Venom?
Oh shit! Come on, man.
I had to look it up, man.
I knew you.
Nuclear, ominous.
Hold on, let me write this
down.
Venom.
I don't know, what is it?
Violent.
Vicious. Vicious evil network of mayhem.
Now, If you were a member of that and you got a paycheck that had that on there,
Sure.
I'd be like, clearly, I'm not getting a 401k anymore because the violent. Oh,
That's part of the mayhem. Is no 401ks.
that's
the definition of Project Mayhem.
No, because I
Dental
was
plans
looking
different.
at everything, and I mean, my whole life I've always known mask is
Yeah.
mobile armor striking. I've always known that, and then I forgot, and I was like, just looking up the vehicles and things, and just reading up on some stuff, and I was like, Venom. I was like, well, crap. I was like,
That's
they
gotta
didn't
mean-
beat that
that's
into
gotta-
our heads.
Yeah.
That wasn't beaten in,
Yeah, I
and-
mean, if you had straight up asked me who were Mask's enemies, I would have probably said like Miles Mayhem, and you would have been like, no, the name of the organization, and I would have been like, Mayhem Incorporated. I don't fucking know.
It was always some business or
Mayhem
corporation.
Inc.
Yeah.
But if Mask was Mobile Armored Strike Command, why was their base a mountain? That's not very mobile.
Well, they're mobile though.
No.
They're mobile like when they leave the. It's like Paw Patrol. It's the same thing. Paw Patrol is
Luckily,
just Mask.
I did not do Paw Patrol.
No, I have a
Patrol's
lot.
Fine.
We can discuss Thomas the Train ad nauseum if you'd like, but I can't do Paw Patrol.
Behind right now is the Paw Patrol Tower and the Lookout Tower.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. So my Mask memory, I had the Condor, the green motorcycle that transformed into the helicopter with, I can't remember the guy's name, but anyway, that was like the one thing that I was able to buy as one of my offshoot things. But then I was probably 11 or 12 years old, and one of my friends got really, really, really into soccer and decided he didn't want toys anymore.
Cool.
And gave me all of his Masked toys.
Oh, nice.
That's
So
rad.
it was Boulder Hill, it was the Rhino, it was Matt Tracker's car, which, by the way, I think Matt Tracker's car is dumber than the plane that turns into a helicopter, because it's literally a car that you open the doors on it.
The aerodynamics.
And
suck.
now it's a plane.
Yeah, there's no aerodynamics in an 80s Camaro.
It was everything. It wasn't the whole collection, but it was tons of stuff. So I don't remember how I got it home, but I got it home, and I've got it set up like in the basement or the bonus room or whatever. And my mom comes in, she's like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Ryan gave me all of his Mask stuff." And she was like, "That's not okay." And she called Ryan's dad and was like, "Do you know that your son gave away all of his Mask, all of these toys to David?" And he was like, "That's his stuff. It's fine." And I was like, "Ha! Gotcha, Mom.
Suck it.
You do-gooder." So I kept all
Venom
that
wins.
stuff. And of course, when I moved out, it went up in the attic with
Yeah.
all the G.I. Joe stuff and melted into fucking oblivion.
I wonder what the price point on Mask was when it came out, because I don't know anybody that had just like one or two.
I can tell you right now, and it's going to be every time we have done this on the show where we go to look up the original price point, everybody's mind is blown by how low it is. Okay, so Boulder Hill,
$30.
shit. Okay, Figure Realm doesn't have it listed. That's my usual resource. Oh wait, here we go. No, it doesn't have it on here. But yeah, you're probably right. It was probably $30 because the flag. Nobody remembers the flag was $100.
Yeah, the flag was expensive. I remember that.
$100. That's it.
That sucks.
So when you go back and look at the prices on these like 80s toys, but here's the fucking crazy thing that I discovered is that they were accounting for inflation. They were more expensive then than they are now.
I'm sure they were.
I looked up the Wampa, the original Empire Strikes Back Star Wars Kenner Wampa, and it was like $7.99 or $6.99 something, and it worked out to it would be $18 now. And then the Wampa now was $14.99. It was something like that. It was like they're actually, even though we don't see it this way, they're cheaper now. It's really bizarre.
We could justify $20 for a Wampa, but back then $20 was
yeah, 20 bucks was the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mask, great pick. People know about it, but I agree. I think it's underappreciated. I think it's certainly underrepresented because it's something that's ripe for a revival, because a lot of these things that we talk about, if you put them into modern terms, it would be very difficult to update them and to make them relevant to a current audience, which, whether we like it or not, anything like that they're going to make into a TV show, a movie, or whatever now, you're going to have to adjust it so it appeals to a modern audience. Mask, very easy. That we still have cars and trucks and gas stations at the bases of mountains. Like, this is
a Tesla truck.
Yeah, this is something that would very easily be updated to 2021. And it's been a struggle that's been going on for years, and for some reason nobody can get behind it enough to make it happen. All right, this is tough because I'm trying to decide where I want to go next. Okay, I think I know what I've got to go with, because I think it's going to pop you guys. I think you guys are going to appreciate it. Let me throw this word out. I'm going to send the link, but let me throw out one word and see if it gets anything out of you guys. Entertech.
I had so many of those.
Okay. So I sent the link, and this is another one that's a little difficult to look up.
Oh, these things. Yeah.
The 45. Actually, the 45 was the best one because it held the most water.
So
I got trouble with these.
Yeah, I had this. I had the 45
Uzi.
and the AK. There it is. I had that and the 45. Oh man, I wanted the rocket launcher so bad.
Everybody wanted. I didn't know anybody that had the rocket launcher.
Did they ever make it? Did it ever actually make it? Laser tanks.
So yeah, the bottom of the article has like photon and shit. And that's the problem, is that there aren't a lot of really comprehensive lists of Entertech, and it's because of the controversy that came out of it.
This is the toy that spawned the orange tip.
Correct. These are, for the listeners who aren't looking at what we're looking at, Entertech was a series of battery-powered water guns.
Oh, they were awesome.
That looked
good.
Basically exactly like for real guns.
Like really real guns.
The pistols look like pistols, the submachine guns, this double clip Beretta.
I love the 80s.
The M16.
Oh, that's so, I didn't even know they got into all that. I remember the AK had an extra magazine that,
yes,
yeah,
and it closed. It wasn't you weren't just spilling water everywhere. You
actually had the top on it.
Yeah,
and you filled it up, and then when you went to put it in, you popped the top and stuck it in the gun.
Look at this badass kid in the yellow shirt.
He looks awesome.
He's got the I bet that kid's a dick.
So these were produced by LJN, who's getting a lot of love this episode.
Lots. Send the checks.
This was influenced by the popularity of G.I. Joe and military toys at the time. And they were, like I said, they're battery-powered water guns. So not only did they have automatic firing, you just held down the trigger and it would just shoot water, but it also made the noise of the gun.
Do you remember the commercials for these?
I don't, and I probably should have looked at it.
The kids in the green shirts, like mud crawling.
I'll play one as part of the episode towards the end, just so everybody can hear it.
Pete, I might have a confession to make on something on this.
What's
to
that?
you.
Do you have my gun?
No.
I want one.
I think I may have been the reason you lost the pistol one with the backpack.
Oh, that was the best one.
Well, was it mine or was it yours? I can't remember.
That was mine. I remember those two.
I had that one time in my backpack, and I took it to school, and I was running down the hall. We were having a water gun fight, and I busted out that thing, and I was just hosing out everybody, and the teacher flipped out. I mean, you gotta imagine, this is 1990.
That's crazy. She was mad you had a water gun.
And
that's the only reason she was mad.
But it's a water gun.
Yeah.
that looks like an actual gun.
But I remember having the whole tank in my backpack, and I was just posing down everyone.
That bag
confiscated from me, and I couldn't get it back. And I was like, I had to try to get up there, and I can't remember if I got it back or not. So when you lost that probably my fault. I'm sorry.
I don't remember it until this exact moment. I couldn't tell you what happened to that thing.
I'm looking at these right now, and I'm like, I mean, because I remember playing with almost the first 4, especially this double clip one. This
the for the A, I definitely had
Beretta. The double clip Beretta. For some reason, I'm like, I could feel that in my hands now. Like
it's not on this list, but I had an Uzi, and I had this Rambo set that I didn't even remember until I found this article. If you go down towards the bottom, they've got a Rambo set that includes his survival knife.
Yes,
yeah,
it does not squirt water, sadly.
Did either one of you ever get a survival knife in the 80s?
Absolutely.
Several. Cheap
had the cheap piece of shit one that it had the compass in the top. You unscrewed it, and it had
3
matches and the saw that wouldn't cut through dirt.
Wouldn't cut anything.
I got mine at the fair.
Yeah, the fair.
That's what I remember.
Right.
I got a white snake mirror and a survival knife.
So my parents.
Oh, this is such a good one.
Oh yeah.
The fact that they would allow me to own, because yes, those survival knives were just cheap pieces of shit, but you could absolutely murder somebody with one.
Oh yeah. If you scroll down all the way, it says it's got the commercials.
We all had them.
Oh, we were so dangerous. We would be dead. We would be dead.
Think about all of the. And granted, nobody ever got hurt by a cap, but think about all the cap firing toys that we had.
We had BB gun wars. We shot each other with pellet guns.
Dude, I remember in middle school, this is insanity. In middle school, there became this thing where you would get sewing needles and you would thread. You would thread through the back and make a little like dart out of a fucking sewing needle. What? And we were throwing these things at each other.
I want to do that.
You would get you would loop thread through it and then cut it. So it looked like a little dart, but it was a sewing needle. And you had to have a very specific kind of, and all the moms were like, what is happening to my sewing needles? Where are they going? Am I losing them all?
You're like dipping in the back of frogs' backs, see if you can get poison.
And throwing them at each other.
Oh,
we did the dumbest stuff.
Dirt clod wars. We just take clumps of dirt.
Just dirt.
Throw them at each other.
Yeah.
What are you doing today? I'm going to go throw rocks at my friends. Yeah. Have fun. Be back at dinner.
Well, that through modern eyes, that scene in the first It, where they have the rock fight, seems so insane. But we did that, only we weren't doing it with kids we hated. We were doing it with our friends.
Yeah. Why don't you want to have a dirt fight with me? What, you don't like me anymore?
Yeah. Right.
That's why I like Stranger Things. When I watched Stranger Things, it was great. It was amazing seeing those kids in that time, in the area. I mean, the area that we lived and grew up in.
They captured it. They really did.
They really did. And then they went to our mall.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Gwinnett Mall, Pete, you and I both
stayed within like 4 feet of the same spot.
Multiple jobs in the famous Gwinnett Place Mall.
And going back to all the danger of things that did I'm not saying do this. I am not saying do this.
We don't endorse anything that we say on this show.
But remember, I don't know, Pete. Remember when we said the dirt bike races in those woods that were like behind?
We would jump,
and we would take those. We would have sticks in our hands, and we would throw them in spokes.
That's right. We tried to trip the other one up,
Mad Max style. Man, we were insane.
It was dumb. And like we do it, and we'd be like, "Ha ha!" And you'd be like, "Yeah, you sure got me. Let's try it again." No helmets, and these were the steel frame bikes. And I remember we all took our pads off the bikes because we were like, "Fuck this, we don't need pads on."
Yeah.
Oh, we sabotaged the jumps.
I totally forgot about all the pads that used to be on bikes that you had to get rid of immediately, or your friends would think you were a pussy.
Yeah. We got that on your bike. Yeah, no. Oh yeah, wow. We were terrible.
Wow, complete insanity.
And I'm sure it's rose tinted glasses, but
Oh no, I look
we had
back
the
in
best childhood.
I look back in horror.
Yeah. Oh, if my children, like, my babies is, I don't want anything to happen to them.
Well, that's what's so crazy is I look back at my mom and I think of her as being so like overprotective.
Right.
But I was riding my bike all over the place, playing out in the woods, like, oh, look, there's a copperhead. Don't move too fast. Like crazy shit out all day long. She had no idea. I had no cell phone.
Yeah. None.
I
had a pocket
I
full of lighters for some reason.
Right. Oh, hey, have you learned that trick where you take a lighter and throw it at the ground and it explodes? Oh, cool. Let's do that. Like,
what are you guys doing today? Oh, we're gonna go break bottles at this junkyard.
Yes.
Cool, let's do that.
And like I think about like, oh my gosh, compared to me, my mom was so like permissive and wasn't worried about me at all. Yeah, I would be concerned if my kid like went across the street into the woods.
I could not imagine my children leaving the property, like leaving I live in a neighborhood. I cannot imagine my child leaving the property. And we have a kid that lives next door that my youngest is good friends with, and she will just randomly walk next door and knock on the door like we did. Like we didn't know, unless if the bike was in the yard, you knew your friends were home.
Shit, next door, 2 neighborhoods over.
Oh yeah, we were just walking. We'd go on adventures.
Hey, Pete, what was that? What was that transforming gun you had? You had the double barrel.
It was a GoBot, or maybe
that was a GoBot.
It was a double-barreled cap gun. Yeah, and I remember the barrels were his arms like this, and he folded down like that, and then you turn his head around. But it was like a break-action shotgun, and it had had 2 cylinders. It had 2 cylinders in it.
I just had this massive memory when we were talking about this stuff.
And it had a penis. Because the handle of the gun folded up when he was a robot, but no one ever thought to say, maybe we should lock this in so when he's a robot, he doesn't have a dick. Yeah, he had a penis.
Because when you were talking about like busting bottles, I remember we would go back there and bust those bottles. And then I was holding that thing like I was standing guard.
Yeah. I don't know what kind of crazy alcohol? That was like a mountain of old PBR bottles.
That was weird.
What kind of crazy alcoholics lived back there?
They were all in bags and buried.
Where did we live?
I can't find anything about a transforming shotgun toy.
I remember that thing.
It's not a GoBot. It was red and white
and blue. It was red, white. It was
well, of course it was red, white, and blue.
Damn right it was.
I remember
that one of them Japanese cap guns.
I feel it, man, like in my hands. Remember the barrels split down and like
because you could fold one. You could fold one barrel down.
And I'm hunting now too.
Gun. Oh man, transforming gun. That's gonna get you on a list, by the way.
I know. I'm transforming gun.
So Intertech was absolutely.
That's
awesome.
A great one.
Intertech is an awesome one. I wonder if you could find those anywhere.
Yeah, you can find them on eBay. And they're not as expensive as you might think they'd be, considering the controversy.
They were solid, like hardy toys too. They
didn't just like break. It wasn't. They weren't anything. They were well made.
Like they pumped a lot of water. It wasn't like just squirting. There was a good pump in there.
Yeah, they were solid. They were better than Super Soakers, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings us back, unless Keith is in the midst of research on this transforming.
I found Beavers. So put a link in the chat.
Did you find it?
I think so. Arco Rogun cap gun or something.
Yeah, I don't think it was like a GoBot or a thing. But it was pretty cool.
Let's see.
Send it to the chat.
Yeah, I'm looking. This thing. Anyway, go ahead while I'm looking this up.
Okay, Pete, what is your next selection?
Okay, so I've got a list because like I said, in the 80s there was a new flavor of the week every week. But I do remember one that I didn't have a lot of, but I always thought they were cool. Battle Beasts.
Oh yes.
So holograms were the hotness in the 80s.
Holograms were so cool that we wanted issues of National Geographic
I still have my 2 issues of National Geographic, the one with the eagle and the one with the skull.
Yes.
I don't know why they're not worth anything.
No.
But my grandfather, I would always take his National Geographics, and he got me. I remember my grandfather bought me a subscription to National Geographic, and I loved it. I fell in love with old National Geographics, and I loved getting mail every month, and I do remember. But everything was holograms, so these battle beasts were cool, like animal warriors. They had armor and they had weapons, and sometimes they had a gun for an arm or a sword for an arm. And they weren't that big. They were only like about 2 inches tall.
Yeah.
But they all had, you buy them in 2 packs, and they all had random hologram stickers. And it was, I want to say it was the elements. It was like the.
Well, it was rock paper. It was rock paper scissors.
Exactly.
So exactly. It was
water, fire, and
wood.
Earth. Yeah. And you didn't know you battle your friends. No one ever kept the other one when they lost or whatever.
No.
But I do remember the stickers were random because I doubled up on a few and they had different stickers.
Yeah.
Okay. There it is.
And they were, here we go.
Let's see this gun.
Transformer Land is where
That's it. That's it.
What? Tonka
Yeah.
GoBots Arco Rogun Cap Rifle. For the listeners, I'm going to say it one more time. Tonka GoBots Arco ARCO Rogun Cap Rifle. This is crazy.
Yeah. The stock extended. There's his penis. And his arms would go down. Yeah. Oh, that's the only picture of it. Damn.
So
I know that's the first one I found up. I tell you, I love the hunt. I mean, I might not have a lot of collections, but I love the.
Yeah.
So the barrels, they're hinged at the shoulder, so they come together above his head, and I'm assuming,
and that red part extends out.
Go down, and his head goes forward.
You turn it around 180 degrees.
Okay.
It's on a like a weird pivot.
Okay.
And the stock extends, and then you separate it.
Look at the dual triggers on this thing.
Yeah, because they were, like I said, it's like a break action shotgun, and the scope was his head. You could see through his head.
Wow.
And that was a scope. Yeah.
Okay, so
good job, Keith.
We at this point, because everybody wants to know, we got to find out if there are any of these on eBay and what they go for. We have to find out.
Rogun Cap Rifle. I never even knew the thing had a name.
Yeah.
Nothing on eBay. Oh, wait. Is this it? This is it. Dude, $35.
Oh,
that's
Arco GoBots Rogun Transforming Robot Space Gun Cap Rifle Toy.
That sounds about right.
Really covered all the bases on that. $35, $9.95 shipping. You guys. Oh, wait, here's another one. $21, $8.55 shipping. I thought this was going to be like $500.
Yeah. It's worth $500.
Oh, my gosh.
There's another one I've never seen before. I mean, because that's the only one I've ever seen, but there's a pistol one, too.
Is there?
There's like it looks like Robbie the Robot, I think, kind of style.
Was it the same cap? Because, there was the rolls of caps, and then this one took like the cylinder of caps.
Okay, $21, $8.55 shipping. You guys, do I buy this right now live?
How can you not? I mean, it's cool.
I think I have to.
It's cool.
I think I have to. Let me look at this seller and make sure. Let me make sure this guy didn't have like 4 sales. 263 sales, top rated, good seller.
Where's it coming from?
Vintage collectible rare toy GoBots Rogun Robot Cap Gun Rifle Transformer 1984 Arco figure. Condition is used. Parts only or may not work.
What?
But it's all there. Like, ooh, I don't know. This looks pretty rough.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, this one looks pretty rough. I'm gonna go back and look at the other one. Because even 35 plus. Whoa, this one is mint in box.
What is the box? Let me see that. Put that.
Okay,
wait,
hold on.
Yeah, let me hang on. Let me send you this.
Penis rifle. Let's see this thing.
Okay. Mint in box.
Get out.
It's a robot. It's a cap firing rifle.
Look at dude, that guy's got a hog.
He does.
I told you.
Oh well, wait, but so his penis folds up into his abdomen.
Yeah, but
you don't just leave it. You don't just leave it dangling.
You can.
Well, I mean, you can.
I don't know what game you're playing. You can.
I like that on the box he's green.
Oh yeah, I see that. Changes from robot to cap firing rifle and back.
And it's the circular caps.
Yeah, and there's 2 of them.
Man.
Oh God, I forgot about that thing.
That thing was, I remember that. God, that's awesome.
Oh, there's the other one. There's the pistol.
There's a pistol.
I know somebody that had there's a big cycle too. $30.
Man. Okay. So we got, this is incredible. This is by far the crown jewel of this episode.
Oh, that pistol's pretty cool too. Oh, can't.
So wait, was this Pete? Was this your pick or was
this was Keith? No,
this was some random shit Keith mentioned that wasn't even technically a pick.
It was something that Peter owned. He owned.
I had a lot of toy guns.
It was something he had, and I remember he mentioned busting bottles, and it sent this memory in me. And I remember, I just remember holding that thing and going and just transforming it, and we were out there busting bottles.
We had this patch of woods behind our neighborhood. That to this day has never been developed. If you go back to our old neighborhood, this patch of woods is owned by a person. We had bike trails all back there. And like I said, there's like 1 or 2 random junkyards
that were buried. The bottles were buried in
mountains of beer bottles.
And we would bust them until they came out yelling at us.
Yeah, like don't break my bottles that I've thrown away. And we're like,
stop messing up our trash.
pretty much. It was Stone Mountain in the 80s. So it was probably Kenneth Parnell. So,
all right. So wait, what the heck? So wait, what was your last? My mind has been blown away by this robot shotgun.
Yeah, Battle Beasts don't even matter.
Battle Beasts do matter. Battle Beasts are great. I've actually got a few. It's one of the things that if I'm at like a toy show or something and I see Battle Beasts I don't have, I grab them. I love them.
I remember there were tons of them. There were just tons of them, and you got 2
even. Were they Transformers?
Were they?
Well, okay,
they were associated with them.
They're another one that. I think they're Hasbro. Listeners, feel free to correct me here, but they came from one of the Japanese lines that were part of Transformers, but over here they weren't. But they did have, because Transformers had that rub-off emblem.
Right.
They and I can't remember. Noel is probably screaming at the podcast right now. It's called this. But Transformers, remember they had the rub off whether they were Autobot or Decepticon, and that's where they incorporated the Battle Beast into it. It was
it's about the same size,
same kind of same idea. But the Battle Beasts are basically cybernetic critters, and then they also had, and I had forgotten about these until I started, because once I bought a few Battle Beasts, I had to make a list of like, what do I have, what do I not have, so I don't end up buying doubles. They also, do you remember they had the vehicles also? They had like a giant,
vaguely.
They had like a giant wood beetle that opened up into a little base. I don't remember what the other vehicles were because I haven't looked at these in years. But yeah, it was a cool little toy line, and it actually lasted several waves, and has been redone many times recently. Diamond Select Toys did Battle Beasts mini mates that were pretty cool. And then there are still Battle Beasts going now, but rather than the rub off, they have an actual little, I believe it's almost like, but was it Bobble? What is the game where you press the thing and it turns the little dice or whatever?
Boggle.
It's almost like that. They've got that in their chest, and you like press the thing and it brings up something different every time. Like the game is more involved than it was when we were kids because we were dumb and couldn't handle more than
we could only have 3.
Off and it's fire
again.
Like, that's as much as we could get.
Yeah.
But yeah, Battle Beast has basically been a brand since the 80s. It's just that in America we haven't seen as much of it. But it's been pretty ongoing in Japan.
Huh. I just remember I thought it was cool that they came in 2-packs, and that was when we bought figures,
those were the best.
Younger, you always got one unless you got like a Snake Eyes that came with a dog, or
Right,
Law and
right.
Order came with a dog. It came with something that wasn't just a gun or a backpack. You got a little something extra. This was 2 toys in 1 blister pack. And you
Well,
were
the first
like,
Transformers
what?
I bought was one of the cassette packs because it was 2 figures.
Yeah.
It was the bird and the robot. Like you got 2 guys, and that was a big
Yes.
deal back then.
That was a huge deal.
If you guys remember Army Ants, the little blue and orange guys.
No.
Vaguely,
Probably
vaguely.
80. Well, it was 87 because I had we lived in Houston, Texas over the summer of 1987 because my dad had to go out there to work, and I had a recurring nightmare of these Army Ants toys marching into my room and attacking me in the middle of the night in Houston, Texas. But they're the bad guy. Well, I don't know if they were bad guys. There was one team was blue, one team was orange, and they all had little green squishy butts.
I remember.
I
do remember those squishy butts. That's
but
all.
they came in.
That's all.
They came in multi-packs and anything, and that was something that became a thing. The muscle figures, the little pink guys.
Yeah.
They came in multi-packs.
Muscles.
Like we loved our GI Joes with all the articulation and all the accessories. But when you could get more than one figure in a pack, even if it was just a little static, unarticulated figure, that was exciting. That was cool. All right, so Pete, you got Battle Beast. Keith, you were doing our research. You found our Arco shotgun GoBot insanity toy. But it is time to wrap this thing up. So Keith, bring us home. What's your last pick? What's our final forgotten toy of yesteryear?
Pete, I'm gonna go with one of your suggestions that you talked about to me earlier, because I have never heard of it, and I went down a rabbit hole of this. Power Lords.
Yeah, Power Lords.
And what I found here. Let me put this up.
Scariest toy line ever.
How forgettable.
You know. You said you were saying like the good guys just forgettable, but the villains were bad. They were awesome.
So cool.
And I'm telling you, when I was so I'm looking them up. I'm reading about them. I'm like, okay, what are these things? Yeah, I've never even heard of these things before. But you're right. The villains look awesome. But the one that looked familiar is that one called Arcus. It's like this insect looking thing.
Yeah, they were all. Yeah, Arcus was.
But they had a couple that had some great names, and the villains like Roy Goth or something. His hand famous. Yeah, Ray Goth, the Goon of Doom, which I absolutely love that name. And then the other one that I'm gonna start spelling my name like this. I'm gonna have to start adding extra letters, but Griptog. GGRIPPTOGG, the four-fisted brute.
That's like upgrade.
No, but what was cool, but what I really like about them when I was looking at it was I was just trying to read some history on it, just trying to learn about it. They contacted this guy named Wayne Barlow to do the creation of it, and you type up his name, Wayne Barlow. He wrote this book called did this like guide to extraterrestrials.
Yes,
and it's just all these like different like drawings and stuff. But he's he is legendary in the elementary school library. I lived off of shit like that. Yes. Yeah, his stuff was cool. Like, and he's also he works with he did stuff for Galaxy Quest, Avatar, Hellboy, Pacific Rim. He's I didn't realize like when you put that name out there, Power Lord, and I'm like looking at this like, what is this stuff? And I was like, oh, this looks familiar. Who made this? And I looked at that. Next thing you know, it's just such a rabbit hole. But this guy Wayne Barlow. Next thing you know, I'm on like Amazon and eBay trying to find this.
I went in depth.
Oh, dude, I think it's awesome. I love this guy's creations and his artwork, but the toy line, never heard of it. Never heard of it.
I remember it from when I was a kid, and it creeped me out too much for me to want them. Yeah, like they were unnerving to me when I was a kid.
the hero figure, you could twist his body around and
Yes.
he turned blue. Yeah, it was the aliens though. They were great toys. They were so good.
Was there a cartoon for this?
I don't know.
I don't think so, but actually I was getting ready to say for the listeners, well, and for you guys, there's a YouTube channel called Toy Galaxy that is pretty much my favorite YouTube channel. And they have, they do 15 to 20 minute recaps of things like this. And they did a Power Lords episode that goes into the history, talks about Wayne Barlow, talks about how these got made, how there were plans for more of them that just didn't happen, and how, I cannot remember the company, the Four Horsemen, I think, that designed all the Masters Universe Classics and the DC Universe Classics, brought the Power Lords back a few years ago via Kickstarter. And that they did a couple of the figures and then it just kind of petered off.
I saw the newer figures today.
Yeah.
I was like, were these really that good? And I was like, oh no, these are all very new.
Yeah. But Toy Galaxy, fantastic YouTube channel. But yeah, these Power Lords, man, they freaked me out when I was a kid.
Yeah, Arcus and Griptog. I mean, those are good looking villains right there. That is a stuff of nightmares are made of. I do not want to see that.
All the designs are unique and great, and I would love to see somebody. Honestly, as much as I hate to give McFarlane Toys credit for anything, because typically you open their toys up and they fall over and break, which granted, that's not really true anymore. They're making much better stuff now, but I would like to see really detailed sculpt versions of these. I don't need all the articulation, but I would like to see the original visions of these creatures realized, like Wayne Barlow's artwork brought to life, rather than done in sort of a toyetic form.
That Arcus would be so cool. Griptog.
I'm kind of liking Drench over here.
And Torque. I just like Torque.
Drench looks like he's got some kind of really distended nutsack situation going on.
He's got a little something extra there. Drench is
I think
a couple years older.
I think that's a leg, but
no, he didn't pull his string out from his cap.
Yeah.
That's
what can happen if you don't get that stent out. You're going to end up like Drench.
Jesus,
you're going to end up drenched. All right, guys.
Nice.
I think we've talked about a lot of good toy lines, some stuff that's forgotten, some stuff that's just underappreciated. But we certainly got, I think, a decent feel for the hosts of The Clown is Down. So before we wrap this thing up, why don't you tell us, once again, a little bit about the show and where we can find you guys online and how we can stay updated on all of the newest Clown is Down info.
Well, you can find us on Instagram at Clown is Down. That's pretty much right now we're revamping our Facebook page. So just go to the Instagram. We put out new episodes 1st and 15th, just like Payday. Check us out. It's good fun. It's just good fun.
Remember, it's opinions.
It's
our opinions.
It's our opinions. And it's just, we're not telling anybody what to do. We're just throwing it out there saying, hey, this is just how we feel. And
we're open to conversation. If you think that we're wrong, if you have a different opinion, let us know. Hell, come on our podcast and tell us why we're wrong or why you think that we're wrong. And we'll just tell you you're wrong.
Well, you guys, thank you so much.
Get your own podcast.
Yeah, right. In this day and age, why not?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you for having us.
And I look forward to having you guys back on again. I think there's a lot of uncovered ground here we could go back to.
Yeah.
And if not, we can just talk about penis stuff some more.
Penis, let's just cock talk. Just plenty of cock
talk. Welcome to Cock Talk with Dave, Keith, and Pete.
Well, we can't claim that one because that one's with a.
That's actually
it's a thing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's another group.
That's actually a thing.
Well, there you go. Thanks a lot, you guys.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Cool. Thank you.
If you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did, and I know that you did, go subscribe to The Clown is Down. Give them a review. Share it with your friends. You know, let these guys know you enjoy what they do. And what they do, I genuinely do find entertaining. I wasn't just blowing smoke up their asses. I love their format, and I love listening to those guys talk. I think they're doing a great job. So go check them out. Check out their own stuff. And at some point soon, I will be doing a little guest spot on The Clown is Down. And I'm very excited about the subject matter. It's the sort of thing that I want to be a guest on, but I don't want to be responsible for running the show myself. So, The Clown is Down. Fantastic stuff. Needless Things YouTube channel. Please go over there. Like, subscribe, share the videos. 2 a week. 3 if you include the YouTube version of this, which is just audio, but people listen to it on YouTube, I guess because it's easy to get to, or it's in their library or something. I don't know. I don't even know how to keep track of listeners or downloads or anything else anymore, because there's so many different platforms where everything's... I don't even know what all we're available on. The other day I came across this website, Podcasting for You or something. I don't know what it was. And all of the episodes were archived there. I'd never even heard of this website. And apparently there are a few almost like database-style podcast sites that just have links to all these different podcasts. It's crazy. So if you're out there and I don't know that you're listening, then thank you for listening. Follow us on Instagram at Needless Things Podcast. And I love you guys.
You have been listening to a Needless Things podcast. You can follow Needless Things on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and at needlessthingspodcast.com. Love you. Mean it. Uh-huh.